Good afternoon, everybody. This is Jeff Covington with Therap Services. Welcome to the webinar. And today's webinar is going to be talking about aging QSPs and the billing for non-EVV services. Right? We have a disclaimer here. Today's agenda, we're going to do an overview from the Aging Services Division. The director, Nancy Nicholas Meyer, is here, and she's going to do a brief overview. We're going to do Therap introductions so that you all know who we are. Then we're going to do an overview of Therap functionality, which includes service authorizations, the use of the attendance module, and billing.
Hey, Jeff, you're not sharing your screen.
I'm not.
No.
All righty. Sorry about that. Can everybody see my screen now?
Good to go.
Good to go. Thank you. So let me start again with the agenda. We're going to do an overview from North Dakota. The Aging Services Division Director, Nancy Nicholas Meyer, is here to do that. We're going to do some Therap introductions. We are also going to do an overview of some of our functionality, which includes our service authorizations, attendance module, and billing. We're going to talk over the implementation plan. So when is this all going to start? And then I'm going to turn it over to one of my colleagues at Therap, who is going to do a demonstration of the attendance module. And then we'll have time for questions and answers. Speaking of questions, feel free to ask questions during the webinar and type them in. If you'll notice on your GoToWebinar toolbar, you will have a box here under audio that says questions. You can tap on that and write in your question. And one of my colleagues from Therap will answer that question for you. We may read some of the questions out loud and answer them so that the whole group can see it. All right. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nancy, who's going to give you an overview from the Aging Services Division side.
Thanks, Jeff, and thanks to all of you for taking the time today to learn a little bit more about billing in the Therap system and some of the new changes that are coming because of some change in federal and state law. So in December of 2016, a federal law passed called the 21st Century Cures Act, and it actually requires us to verify for any services that are related to personal care that the system that we know a few things about it before we would pay a claim. So it's looking for the data that's listed on the screen. And you've been invited to this webinar not because you are providing a service that's subject to EVV, but because of some of the changes that we've had to undergo in order to implement this system. All of our claims are going to have to be billed professionally instead of on the atypical claim forms that we currently use right now. And that's going to impact your business process going forward, even though you don't have to use EVV for the services that you provide. Next slide. So, as I mentioned, we have to implement this law as it relates to EVV, and we've contracted with Therap, who they're going to demonstrate their system to us today. And this is available to all of you to use as a billing system so that you can meet the professional claims requirement. If you are a provider of other kinds of services that are subject to EVV, you may have already joined us for a webinar that shows that functionality. And we're going to have to go live with all of these changes on January 1 of 2021, or they will reduce the amount of federal match that we get to pay for these services in the homes. So the services that we're talking about today, the reason why you were invited is because your organization or you as an individual provide one or more of the services that are listed here. And so again, they're not subject to EDV, meaning you don't have to clock in and clock out. We don't have to collect those data elements that were on the screen, but you're going to use the system to receive a service authorization from the case manager, so you know who your clients are and the number of services that are authorized. And then you can also use it as a billing function, because the way that we're accepting claims is going to change, and we're going to have to meet all of the professional claims submission requirements. So what's changing? I've talked a little bit already about billing, and again, because of those changes that are coming in 2021, for any date of service starting that day and later, we're going to have to use professional claims and HCPC codes in order to request payment for these services. So we're not going to be able to accept the paper claims anymore, or the claims that are submitted through that atypical claim portal. And the professional claim that we have to use going forward for dates of service January and on is a little bit more complicated than that atypical form. It asks for additional information like the client's date of birth, a diagnosis code, a place of service, and it requires all of you to have a national provider index number. So that NPI, you should have all received some information from us on how to go ahead and apply for that, and you have to have one before we can do claims payment starting January 1, 2021 and later. So as I mentioned, we're offering this system to you because we realize that this professional claims payment or submission can be a little bit more complex than our original, what we're using right now. And there is no charge to use this as the billing system. You, however, are not required to use this. You can choose to use another billing system or submit a professional claim in another way, but we're offering this as an option. So the procedure codes are also going to change. So for an example would be like our foster care. Right now it's 00026. It's going to change to a HIPAA compliant HCPC code that can be successfully transmitted electronically on a claim. And so there are some that won't have to change because they already met the standard, but there are many local codes that are going to have to change over to HCPC codes. And again, the following services, as I mentioned, these are the codes that are going to be used going forward on January 1 in 2021, and you will be sent an updated explanation of billing code that tells you all of this information, so you don't have to write it down. We'll be sending you the new codes here in a few weeks. So the other thing that's changing is right now, when you agree to work with one of our consumers, a public pay client, you get a paper service authorization emailed to you or mailed to you. And in the future, you're going to, at a minimum, use the Therap system to go in and get your service authorization from the case manager and acknowledge that you're going to be providing care. And then again, it's available for claim submission if you want to use it. So these changes are going to impact all of our programs, so it doesn't matter the funding source that we pay for, whether it's state or federal. We're going to apply these changes to all of our programs. And these changes impact all of our service providers. So it isn't just folks who serve older adults or people with physical disability. The licensed DD providers have to meet these requirements. People working with the children's waivers and our new 1915I in-home respite providers will have to use this once that funding source is approved. So we've been on a really long journey with the law changing, and we're trying to change all of our business processes. And now we're at the point of educating providers, making sure that they understand what the new requirements are, what their choices are, and the fact that they have to have an NPI going forward and bill in this new way. And so that's what we're doing here today, is to just give you an introduction to the system. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So again, I want to reiterate that we're offering Therap to you. There's no charge to the provider. At a minimum, you would just go in and log in and get your service authorizations, but you could use it for billing. Please watch for additional training opportunities. Today is just an introduction. It's not the actual training. You have to have that NPI prior to us going live, or will not be able to pay the claim. So if you don't have one, please get one and submit it to us per the instructions that were sent to you. And if we don't have your right address or email, if you could please update us at the department with that. That's, you know, our best way to correspond with you. And then think about how you're going to plan for these new billing requirements. Submitting a claim through Therap does require you to have access to a computer or a smartphone. It doesn't have to be one that you own. You could use it, you could go to the public library, for example, but it is a different way of doing claim submission, and we cannot accept paper claims for dates of service after January 1 and forward. So that's just a little over to Jeff to talk a little bit more about the Therap system.
Great, thank you very much, Nancy. So, as Nancy mentioned, we have a contract with the great state of North Dakota and their Aging Services Division to provide EVV and billing for QSPs, whether they be individual or agency in the state of North Dakota. So we have a team that works on state contracts. We have several folks on our state team with us today. We have Katie, Jody, Tracy, and Rich, who are with me today. And these are going to be the core group of people that are going to be working with you on training and following up with you afterwards. And I'm just going to skip through these slides to kind of introduce people because we have a lot to cover. Let's talk a little bit about service authorizations. Aging Services Division is moving away from the paper service authorization, and now you will be getting those in Therap. So the case manager will write that service authorization and send it to you through the magic of the World Wide Web. And when you log into your system, you will see that service authorization. You will acknowledge it and convert it to a billing service authorization. And my colleague Tracy is going to show you how to do that in just a little bit. You are going to be using attendance as your way of data collection for those non-EVV services. And we'll show you how all that is going to look like on your service authorization. You'll be using our attendance module to substantiate your billing. And again, in just a little bit, Tracy is going to show you how all that works inside a demo account. And it kind of looks at the attendance. And so it's very, very simple. And again, as Nancy mentioned, you are all going to receive your service authorizations through us. That's a given, because all service authorizations are going to be in Therap for the Aging Services Division. However, you have a choice as to whether or not you want to use us for billing. We hope you do. We hope after today's demo you see how easy it is and wish to use our attendance module and our billing module to do your work. Just a few screenshots here. I'm not going to go through these quickly because, again, we're going to see it in the system. You're going to be able to, off of that attendance data, be able to bill through Therap to MMIS. Okay. And you'll be using, again, our data collection of attendance. And you're going to generate a billing claim based on that data. Okay. And then you will generate an 837 claim file. And that 837 claim file you can print off, and it will be sent to MMIS through Therap. All right. And again, shows you what claims have been processed and placed in the system queue. And they all have a different form ID number for you to be able to track. Once those are adjudicated by MMIS, you will receive back an 835 file, which tells you that claim has been adjudicated and the electronic payment has been posted. And we'll go over and you're training the rebilling of claims that were done in error. We're going to have a lot of different reports for you to be able to run, agency-based utilization reports on a monthly, weekly, or in a date range model. So you'll be able to get good reports on utilization. So how many of the units are you using? What services are people using, so that you can track those and make sure you don't run out of service for individuals. As Nancy mentioned, we will be doing training and support. For the time being, you need to attend sessions. All right, so we'll have some other informational sessions as well as training sessions to make sure that you are attending those. Be on the lookout for email eye contacts from Therap and paper notices and mail from the Aging Services Division. Make sure you're applying for those MPI numbers. And work out computer access. So you're going to have to be doing your service authorizations and your billing, if you choose, in Therap, which will require to use a computer. Can be done on a smartphone, but it is rather tedious. But you can do it on the computer. Again, depending on how often you bill, you can borrow a computer. You can go to a public place that has computer access and do that there. You all have a login and a password that is secure and yours only. So you could use a public computer should you need to. In the immediate future, you will be getting notices again via email from us to sign up for training. That training will be done via GoToWebinar, similar process to what you access to come to today's session. And then in the future, after January 1st, you will be receiving your service authorizations via Therap. They will no longer be sent to you via paper. And again, if you choose, you will be doing your billing based on attendance data you collect in the system. All right. At Therap, we believe that people learn different ways. So what we try to do is we try to, for everything that you need to do into the system, we try to have training materials available to you in two formats. One is a recorded, either a webinar or a produced video that shows you how to do things. For example, this webinar will be posted on our website, which I'll show you later on, probably within the next few days. So you'll have those webinars. We also like to print out step-by-step written instructions. So again, that you can follow along in doing your work. It goes through here. So I'm going to exit out of the demonstration. Tracy is now going to take over, and she is going to log into a fictitious demo account and talk about attendance in Therap. So Tracy, I send it over to you.
Okay. Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tracy Linko, and is everyone able to see my screen? Okay.
I can see it, Tracy.
Okay, perfect. So when you first log into Therap, you're going to come to this page that is what we call our admin page. In order to see your service authorizations, you're going to come right up here on the left-hand side. We have these tabs, and you're going to come up here to your to-do. And this is where your service authorizations are going to appear. You can see here, I've got one that's showing that I've got a service authorization waiting for me, and it's just pending acknowledgement. So the nice thing is you can click over here, right where it says that pending acknowledgement. Over here, it's going to show you the number of service authorizations that are waiting for you. So you can either click on that number, or again, you can click right here where it says that pending acknowledgement. And what it's going to do is it's going to open it up, and it's going to show you, here's all of the authorizations that have been sent to you. In order to acknowledge, all I have to do is I can click anywhere on this line. So as long as you see this hand, it basically means you can click anywhere. So if I click right on William's name, it's going to open up this authorization. So up here at the top, it's going to give you information on your individual. Again, I'm in a demo account, so all of this information is fictitious. Down below, we're going to give you information specific on this authorization. So we're going to tell you what program is this, what's our specific service, when is this authorization good for. So for this one here that I'm looking at, it's good just for a month, but it will be normally as you have been getting your service authorization, so that date range that you're used to seeing. This service provider is going to list your account name here, and then we're going to go in and we're going to give you information. So kind of here's that rate information, the total units that you're able to bill for, and then the total amount. Down here we have some comments, and then kind of on that screenshot, and I apologize that we don't have it here in this demo account, is you'll have a section down here for that service authorization, and that's what's going to help you change that into a billable service authorization. In order to acknowledge, all I have to do is click on this acknowledge button here, and that's going to show your case manager that you've actually acknowledged that service authorization. In addition, it's really important to hit that acknowledge, because in order to go into attendance, this is what attendance is looking at, is to make sure you actually have an authorization that you've approved in your account. All of your authorizations, when you acknowledge, they're going to reside in here electronically. So you're always going to be able to find those authorizations. They're always going to reside underneath your individual tab. So if I scroll down here, we see this section called Pre-Auth Service Authorization, and all I have to do is click on Search. If I want to narrow this down to just see a specific individual, I can put in that individual's name. I can also do a search by a status. Do I want to see everything that's been acknowledged? Do I want to look at just the ones that are pending? That pending update just means that an update has been made to an existing authorization that I've already acknowledged. I'm going to go ahead and just click on search so I can see all of those authorizations. So here's kind of just examples. Here's authorizations that I currently have in my account. So this top one here is one that I've already acknowledged. So I can still always open it and I have access to it. If you are more comfortable having this printed out, we do have a feature here where you can click on this print PDF. And what it's going to do is it's going to put this in a PDF form that you can actually print out if you prefer to have this printed out and in paper. I'm going to go ahead and click here on cancel. So I'm exiting out of this. And let's take a look at our billing tab. The billing tab is where you're going to come, and this is where you're going to So if I click here on that service authorization, and I can do a search, I'm going to go ahead and just search for a specific individual. So I'm going to look at Edna here. So I can just put in her name. Again, if I wanted to see all of those authorizations, I could leave that name field blank. And I'm going to come down here and click on search. So it's going to show me my current authorization. So when I open up Edna, it's just showing me here's part of my funding source. Here's my begin and end date. So this one specifically is going to go from August through the end of March. And then when I come down here to that service, this is where it's really showing me more of that information. So like that method of data collection, this is where it's showing this is going to be done in attendance. It's also showing me, again, my total number of units. As I begin billing, this is going to show me the remaining units that are still here on my authorization. So you can see that billing's already been done kind of for Edna. So out of that beginning of 5,000, I now have 4,994 units left that I can bill. I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to click on my dashboard. So I go right back to this billing tab. And let's take a look at your attendance. So you have attendance new and you have attendance search. The only difference between the new and the search is new takes you in one single day at a time. So if you want to go in and every day put in your attendance, you can come in here and just click on that new, and it's going to ask you just for that start date. If I come in and I do the search, this is going to allow me to do a date range. So if you want to come in and do this at a week at a time, I could come in here and let's just say we're going to do this for 10/1, and we're going to do it through the 9th of October. Your attendance type, this is going to be driven by your service authorization. So again, acknowledging that service authorization is going to be really important because this is how your attendance type is going to display. So I'm going to take a look here at our aging daily services. And then when I click on the service description code, this is now going to start and list out those services that I'm providing. And again, this is going to come from your service authorization. So if we take a look first at just this adult foster care, I'm going to go ahead and select my program. The asterisk is a required field. So down here with the service authorization status, you're never going to have to worry about changing it. We can just leave it as approved. If you have more than one individual and you want to take a look at just a specific individual, you can put that name in. Otherwise, when I click on search, this is going to show me all of those individuals that I'm providing services for this specific service of adult foster care. When we come into attendance, it brings us into the update tab. So this is if we needed to make changes, this is where we would make it. To enter, we're going to come over here to this input tab. Attendance is basically a three-step process. Input is where we're going to come in and we're going to enter our hours. It's going to be pretty easy. Under attendance options, we're going to have a couple of different options here. So I can have present, maybe they were absent, but they were absent, no service provided. In this case, I'm going to say that we provided the adult foster care. Down here, I can select specifically which days that I provided it. So maybe I just did it Thursday and Friday, and maybe Monday and Tuesday. So I'm just selecting those days. And down here in that lower right-hand corner, I'm going to click on Submit New. What it's going to do up here is it's going to tell me it's successfully saved, and all of these squares turn blue, just to show I've entered something in it. In this tab, if I make a mistake, I can always come back in and I can actually delete it. So if I just click on that X for delete attendance, it's going to say, are you sure you want to delete? I can say yes, and it will take that out, and that's going to be blank. When you're using the search, you want to make sure that every single day is filled in. Maybe for this adult foster care, we were doing it for every single day. I could easily come back in here and either click the Select All Attendance and Current Page. And as you can see, it also selects it right down here next to Franklin's name, and it's going to select all of my blank days. Up here under attendance option, I can just click on that present. And again, down here, I can click on Submit New. So now it's showing that I provided this for every single day within this date range. Our second step is we want to approve this service. So when I click on Approve, I can do quickly, again, say I want to approve every single one of these days. It's all correct. I can click on the Select All Attendance and Current Page. And down here in that lower right-hand corner, I'm going to click on Approve. Everything's going to turn green. So we keep everything in here color-coded, and we do give you a key up here. So anything that's kind of in that light purple, we haven't put anything in. blue, it's in that draft, we've entered it, but we haven't done anything more. Here we're in that green, so we've been approved it. Our last step is we want to take all of this information that we have entered and we want to turn it into actual billing data. I just click on this generate billing data. I'm going to come over here, so I select all of my days. And down here, I'm going to click on this generate billing data. And it's going to come up and tell me this has been successfully submitted for billing. And then I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And you're going to notice this changes colors again. This now turns kind of that orange peachy color. One of the things that I love about Therap is if you're providing more service that's underneath kind of that attendance type, we have this change service up here. And I can easily go in and I could switch to like my adult residential. I could even switch to that residential habilitation. It's going to say, if you want to change the service, and I can click on yes. And it's automatically going to bring me to this next service. And I can start over. The other way is if I want to go right back to that search page, I can come back down here and I can click on this back. And again, it's just going to bring me right back here. This attendance type, again, it's going to be based on your services, and it's automatically going to populate from your service authorization. So if I was providing adult daycare, I could easily select that adult daycare. Again, I can select my service description code, so we'll select that adult daycare and my program. And here I'm going to click on search. I'm going to come over here to my input tab. And then again, here underneath my attendance options, I can have present, I can have absent. Again, when I just have this present and absent, this will be kind of that daily rate. I can come in and I can select which days I've provided this. And I can click on that submit new. This one, if it requires that time in and time out, it is going to kind of pop up and say you did not provide that time in and time out. So I can say, are you sure you want to continue? And I can click on no. And then up here, I can provide that time in and time out. So maybe with this adult daycare, I came in and I started at 9 a.m. As you can see, this pops up. It's much easier to type in that time. I'm just going to tab out. And then I can click in that time out and I can put in what time did I finish my service. So maybe I was done at 1 p.m. If your time is the same for each day that you work, you can click on multiple days at once. Maybe I just worked that 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Thursday. So down here, I would just click on that submit new. And now it's going to show me that one. And if I hold over that one, it's going to give me that time in and that time out. So let's say with Friday, maybe I worked a split shift. So maybe I came in and I worked from 8:30 in the morning until 10. So I'm going to put in this first time. And down here, I'm going to click on that submit new. If I wanted to come in and put additional time, I can click on this P. And what it does is it opens up another window. So this is our attendance data update. So here I can still come in, I could change that attendance option. And right down here underneath that billable time entry, I can actually come in and add in that additional time I worked. So maybe I came back in the afternoon at 1 o'clock and worked until 2:30 p.m. And then down here, I can click on that update. And now it's going to show a 2. So that just means that I have 2 different time in and time out. And then right down here, it's still going to show you that times if I hover over this. For the rest of the days, maybe it's just these 2 days that I worked. I can just click on Karen's name here. Again, it's going to select all of these other days. And I can say the rest of these this week was non-billable. And I can click on the Submit New. If it's non-billable, we are always going to give you that message that says, are you sure you're submitting this time? You're not going to get paid for this. I'm just going to click on yes. And then as you can see, it just fills in that A for the rest of the week. What we're looking at here when we bill are just these dates that are marked with P. Again, to go ahead and make this into billable data, I just click on Approve. And I'm going to approve all of this at once and click on Approve. We're going to turn green. Then I'm going to click on our Generate Billing Data. And again, I'm going to click next to Karen's name. So I select all of these. And I'm going to click on that Generate Billing Data. If there's any type of errors, we can see here that number one, I have attendance option that was not billable. So it's going to tell me there's some that was not generated. I have one that generated, and then I had a second day that I put in as it is 0 because I didn't have enough units. And here you can see which one that was because it's got that red border around it. I'm going to go back to our dashboard. Once I'm back on my dashboard, I can come in here and I can actually create that claim template. And then I can turn this into billing data and I can send it out from Therap. So it's actually very easy and very smooth to kind of go through Therap. So once we have all of that information up here, down here is where we're going to start and we're going to create those claims. So one of the questions that has come up is, can you still just manually bill HCBS claims through MMIS?
This is Nancy. You can, but you have to use the professional claim portal, not the atypical portal that you're using today. You have to use the professional claim, and it's going to ask you for that additional information, and you would need to be able to provide that to submit a successful claim. I'm not sure if you're on mute, I'm not hearing anything.
Any questions?
Thank you, Tracy. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint slide here. And Tracy, can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes, I can see the PowerPoint.
Wonderful. So again, if you have any more questions, please type them in the box. From now until really the whole time that you're using Therap, you can always reach us at ndsupport@therapservices.net. That is an email alias that is supported by about 13 staff. It is the most quickest and responsive way to get your questions answered from us. If you have questions about the process for applying for and receiving your MPI number, somebody at the Aging Services Division can assist you. If you want to email them at carechoice@nd.gov. We have this website here, www.therapevv.net/nd. Oops. And we're going to get this updated with your information. So you see, this is the general web page, the landing spot for all of North Dakota. And as you see here, we have developmental disabilities, agency QSPs, as well as individual QSPs. If I go on this agency QSPs, you'll be able to see all this information. Again, there's a lot here on EVV. But we'll have this updated to include some of the non-EVV services as well. Okay. So again, we'll get these updated in due time for all of you. Nancy, that was all we had on our end. Was there anything you wanted to add before we concluded?
Nope, I just want to reiterate my thanks for your time, and that just to clarify again that everyone will at least have someone in their organization who can access Therap and receive and acknowledge the service authorizations. And then if you are already doing a lot of professional billing in another system, or you know how to do it through the portal, again, you can do that for these services. But if you don't, or if you find the Therap system to be easier, it's available to you. We'll be sending you a new explanation billing code. So if your code is going to change, you'll know what that is. And again, this all starts for dates of service January 1, 2021 and later. So just wanted to clarify all of that. And so additional training from Therap. Jeff, could you talk a little bit about the timeline for that, or how that might look for this provider type?
Absolutely. So we're looking to do training, and some of it has to do with the availability of the functionality. So we're looking to do training during the month of December. So you will be getting an email from us and perhaps some correspondence from the Aging Services Division to sign up for those trainings via webinar. We'd love to be out in North Dakota doing a training, but we can't be this year. And we'll be doing that all via webinar in a group setting.
And
so you'll be
if
able
you
to
do
register for that training. Again, we expect that email to come out in the next couple weeks.
And just another reminder that if you do have an NPI that you haven't sent to us, you can send it to carechoice@nd.gov. You can also send your email there if you don't have an organizational email, or you want to update that with us, and we'll take care of it, of getting it updated in our MMIS system. So that was it for me, I think, Jeff.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And again, as Nancy said, thank you all for joining us, taking time out of your busy schedule, and be on the lookout for training registration. So thank you all very much, and we will be talking to you later. Thank you.